Chapter 1. The Whispers Begin. In the bustling city of Aether, where advanced technology and ancient magic intertwined, a young girl named Lyra found herself caught in the middle of an unexpected adventure. As she hurried through the crowded streets, her tattered clothes and worn-out shoes set her apart from the well-dressed citizens around her. Suddenly, a peculiar sound caught Lyra's attention, a faint whisper that seemed to emanate from the very air itself. She paused, straining to hear the words, but the bustling noise of the city drowned them out. Intrigued, Lyra followed the direction of the whispers, weaving through the maze of alleyways until she reached the outskirts of Aether. There, in a secluded grove, Lyra discovered an ancient stone archway, its surface covered in intricate carvings. As she approached, the whispers grew louder, and a gentle breeze carrying a mesmerizing aroma drew her closer. Hesitantly, Lyra stepped through the archway, and in an instant, her world transformed. Colors swirled around her, and the once familiar landscape of Aether faded away, replaced by a realm of breathtaking beauty. Towering trees with iridescent leaves reached towards the sky, and shimmering streams flowed through fields of luminescent flowers. The air hummed with energy, and the whispers that had led Lyra to this place now surrounded her, their words clear and purposeful. "Welcome, Lyra, to the Aether realm," a soothing voice spoke from the whispers. "You have been chosen to embark on a crucial mission, one that will determine the fate of both your world and ours." Lyra stood in awe, her heart racing with a mix of fear and excitement. She had always dreamed of adventure, of being part of something greater than herself, but she never imagined it would come in the form of enchanted whispers and a gateway to another realm. As the voice continued to explain her role in the unfolding events, Lyra knew her life would never be the same. She had stepped into a world of wonder and danger, where the future of Aether and the Aether realm rested on her shoulders. With a deep breath, Lyra embraced her newfound destiny, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Little did she know, her journey would test her courage, her wit, and her resilience, as she navigated the complexities of a realm she had never known existed. The enchanted whispers of Aether had chosen her, and now she had to prove herself worthy of their trust. Chapter 2. The Guardian's Gift. Lyra found herself standing in a vast meadow, the iridescent grass swaying gently in the breeze. The whispers that had guided her to the Aether realm now danced around her, urging her to move forward. As she walked, the landscape shifted, and a path of glowing stones appeared beneath her feet, leading her deeper into the enchanted world. After what seemed like hours, Lyra reached a clearing where a majestic tree stood tall, its branches reaching towards the heavens. The whispers intensified, and a figure emerged from behind the tree, a guardian, with eyes that sparkled like starlight and a robe woven from the very fabric of the realm. "Lyra," the guardian spoke, her voice a melody that resonated through the air. "You have been chosen to save both our worlds from an impending darkness, but to do so, you must first understand the true nature of your power." The guardian extended her hand, and a small, shimmering orb materialized in her palm. It pulsed with an inner light, casting a warm glow on Lyra's face. "This is the essence of Aether," the guardian explained. "It is the source of all magic in this realm, and it flows through every living being. You, Lyra, possess a unique connection to the essence, a bond that will aid you in your quest." Lyra reached out tentatively, her fingers brushing against the orb. As she touched it, a surge of energy coursed through her body, filling her with a strength she had never known. The whispers around her grew louder, their words becoming clearer, guiding her towards her destiny. "But be warned," the guardian cautioned, her expression growing somber. "The path ahead is fraught with peril. The darkness that threatens our realms will stop at nothing to prevent you from fulfilling your purpose. Trust in the whispers, Lyra, and in the power within you." With those words, the guardian handed Lyra the essence of Aether, which shimmered and then disappeared into her chest, becoming one with her heart. Lyra felt a newfound sense of purpose and determination, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. As she turned to leave the clearing, the guardian called out once more. "Remember, Lyra, you are not alone in this journey. Seek out the allies who will stand by your side, for together you will be stronger than any darkness that dares to oppose you." Lyra nodded, her resolve unwavering. She stepped back onto the path of glowing stones, the enchanted whispers guiding her towards her next destination. The fate of Aethoria and the Aether realm now rested on her shoulders, and she would not let them down. Chapter 3. The Echoing Caverns. As Lyra followed the path of glowing stones, the enchanted whispers grew more insistent, urging her onwards. The lush meadow gave way to a rocky terrain, and soon she found herself standing at the entrance of a vast network of caverns. The whispers echoed from within, their ethereal tones bouncing off the stone walls, beckoning her to enter. With a deep breath, Lyra stepped into the caverns, the essence of ether pulsing within her heart, providing a comforting warmth in the cool, damp air. As she ventured deeper, the caverns began to change, the rough stone walls giving way to smooth, iridescent surfaces that shimmered in the soft light emanating from the essence. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the ground beneath her feet, and a deep, menacing voice filled the caverns. "Who dares to enter my domain?" It boomed, the sound reverberating through the tunnels. Lyra stood her ground, the whispers swirling around her, giving her strength. "I am Lyra," she declared, her voice steady despite the fear that crept up her spine. "I have been chosen to save the realms from the impending darkness." A figure emerged from the shadows, its form shifting and writhing, a mass of inky blackness that seemed to absorb the light around it. "Foolish child," the figure hissed, its red eyes glowing with malice. "You cannot hope to stand against the darkness. It will consume you, just as it will consume all of Aethoria and the Aether realm." Lyra's heart raced, but she refused to back down. She closed her eyes, focusing on the whispers and the essence within her. A soft, silvery light began to emanate from her chest, growing brighter with each passing second. The figure recoiled, its shadowy form rippling as if in pain. "Your darkness will not prevail," Lyra said, her voice ringing with a newfound power. "I will find the allies the Guardian spoke of, and together we will banish you and save our worlds." The figure let out a chilling laugh, its eyes narrowing. "We shall see, little one. The darkness has many faces, and you have only just begun to scratch the surface, until we meet again." With those words, the figure melted back into the shadows, leaving Lyra alone in the caverns. The whispers grew louder, urging her forward, and she knew that her journey was far from over. Taking a steadying breath, Lyra pressed on, the echoing caverns now behind her, and the next leg of her quest awaiting. Chapter 4. The Luminous Oasis. As Lyra emerged from the echoing caverns, the enchanted whispers guided her toward a distant light on the horizon. The rocky terrain gradually gave way to a vast desert, its golden sands stretching out before her like an endless sea. The sun beat down mercilessly, but the essence of ether within Lyra provided a soothing coolness, enabling her to press on. After hours of walking, Lyra's eyes widened as she spotted an oasis in the distance, its lush greenery and sparkling waters a stark contrast to the barren desert surrounding it. As she approached, the whispers grew more excited, urging her forward with renewed intensity. Upon reaching the oasis, Lyra discovered that it was no ordinary haven. The trees and plants glowed with an inner luminescence, their leaves shimmering in hues of silver and gold. The water in the central pool was crystal clear, its surface reflecting the luminous foliage above. As Lyra knelt to drink from the pool, a gentle voice called out to her. "Welcome, chosen one," it said, its tone warm and inviting. Lyra turned to see a figure emerge from behind a glowing tree. It was a woman, her skin radiant and her eyes filled with wisdom. She wore flowing robes that shimmered like starlight, and her hair was adorned with delicate, luminous flowers. "Who are you?" Lyra asked, her voice filled with awe. The woman smiled softly. "I am Arya, guardian of the luminous oasis. I have been waiting for you, Lyra." Lyra's eyes widened. "You know my name?" Arya nodded. "The whispers of Aether have spoken of your coming. You seek allies to stand against the darkness that threatens our realms." "Yes," Lyra replied, her heart racing with anticipation. "Can you help me?" Arya's expression grew serious. "The path ahead is perilous, Lyra. The darkness will stop at nothing to prevent you from fulfilling your destiny. But you are not alone. The luminous oasis is a sanctuary for those who fight for the light. Here, you will find rest and guidance." Lyra felt a surge of hope within her. "What must I do?" she asked, her voice filled with determination. Arya reached out and placed a hand on Lyra's shoulder. Trust in the whispers, Lyra. They will guide you to the allies you seek. But first, you must learn to harness the full power of the essence within you. Only then will you be ready to face the trials that lie ahead. Lyra nodded, her resolve strengthening with each passing moment. As she looked around the luminous oasis, she knew that this was only the beginning of her journey. With Arya's guidance and the power of the essence of Aether, she would become the beacon of hope that the realms so desperately needed. Chapter 5. The Trials of the Luminous Oasis. Lyra spent the night in the luminous oasis, finding solace in its tranquil atmosphere. As dawn broke, Arya approached her with a gentle smile. "Lyra, it is time for you to begin your trials," she said, her voice filled with both encouragement and solemnity. Lyra stood tall, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. "I am ready," she declared, her eyes shining with determination. Arya led Lyra to the center of the oasis, where a circular platform awaited. "The trials will test your strength, wisdom, and courage," Arya explained. "Trust in the essence of Aether within you, and remember that true power lies in the balance of all things." As Lyra stepped onto the platform, a shimmering barrier rose around her, separating her from Arya. The whispers of Aether intensified, swirling around her like an ethereal breeze. The first trial began, and the world around Lyra shifted. She found herself standing amidst a raging inferno, the heat searing her skin. Through the flames, she could see a small, frightened child crying out for help. Without hesitation, Lyra called upon the essence of Aether, and a cool, protective energy enveloped her. She navigated through the flames, reaching the child and guiding them to safety. As the trial ended, Lyra realized that she had conquered her fear and learned to trust in her own strength. The second trial transported Lyra to a vast, ancient library. Towering shelves filled with countless books stretched out before her. A ghostly figure appeared, posing a riddle that held the key to unlocking a hidden door. Lyra closed her eyes, listening intently to the whispers of Aether. They guided her thoughts, helping her unravel the riddle's cryptic meaning. With a flash of insight, Lyra spoke the answer aloud, and the door creaked open, revealing a path forward. The final trial brought Lyra face to face with a shadowy version of herself. The doppelganger mirrored her every move, taunting her with her own doubts and fears. Lyra realized that to overcome this challenge, she needed to confront the darkness within herself. Drawing upon the essence of Aether, Lyra reached out to her shadow self with compassion and understanding. She acknowledged her own weaknesses and embraced them, recognizing that they were a part of her journey. As she did so, the shadow self faded away, and a sense of inner peace washed over Lyra. With the trials complete, the barrier around the platform dissipated, and Arya approached Lyra with pride in her eyes. "You have done well, Lyra," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "You have proven yourself worthy of the essence of Aether and the allies you seek." Lyra bowed her head in gratitude, feeling a newfound sense of purpose and strength. She knew that the road ahead would be challenging, but with the lessons she had learned in the luminous oasis, she was ready to face whatever lay in store. As Lyra prepared to depart, Arya presented her with a small, luminous crystal. "Take this with you," she said, pressing the crystal into Lyra's palm. "It will guide you to your next destination and serve as a reminder of the light within you." With a final embrace, Lyra bid farewell to Arya and the luminous oasis. She set out once more, following the whispers of Aether and the glowing crystal, ready to continue her quest to save Euphoria and the Aether realm from the encroaching darkness. Chapter 6. The Path of Whispers. Lyra emerged from the luminous oasis, the luminous crystal pulsing gently in her hand. The enchanted whispers of Aether swirled around her, guiding her steps as she ventured into the unknown. The path ahead was shrouded in mystery, but Lyra's resolve remained unwavering. As she walked, the landscape shifted, transforming from the soft sands of the desert to a lush, verdant forest. The whispers grew louder, urging her forward, and Lyra followed their ethereal call. The crystal in her hand glowed brighter with each step, illuminating the way. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows of the trees. It was a young man, his eyes filled with curiosity and a hint of mischief. Well, what do we have here?" he said, his voice smooth and charming. "A traveler guided by the whispers of Aether?" Lyra regarded him cautiously, her hand instinctively reaching for the essence within her. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice steady and firm. The young man grinned, bowing with a flourish. "I am Zephyr, a wanderer of these lands and a seeker of knowledge. And you, my dear, must be Lyra, the chosen one the Whispers speak of." Lyra's eyes widened in surprise. "How do you know my name?" Zephyr chuckled, his eyes twinkling with amusement. "The Whispers are not the only ones who speak of you. Your name is carried on the winds, a beacon of hope in these troubled times." Lyra felt a surge of curiosity and a growing sense of kinship with the enigmatic Zephyr. She relaxed her stance, sensing that he meant her no harm. "I am on a quest to save Aether and the Aether realm from the darkness that threatens them," she explained. "The Whispers have guided me this far, but I know I cannot do it alone." Zephyr's expression grew serious, his playful demeanor fading. "The darkness you speak of is no trifling matter," he said, his voice low and somber. "It has been growing in strength, consuming everything in its path. Many have tried to stand against it and have fallen." Lyra's heart raced, the weight of her mission pressing upon her. "I cannot fail," she declared, her voice filled with determination. "I must find allies, those who are willing to fight alongside me." Zephyr studied her for a moment, his gaze piercing and discerning. "I have seen the strength within you, Lyra," he said finally. "The trials of the luminous oasis have honed your spirit, and the essence of Aether flows through you. Perhaps, together, we can make a difference." Lyra's heart swelled with gratitude and relief. "Will you join me, Zephyr?" she asked, extending her hand in invitation. Zephyr grasped her hand firmly, his eyes shining with a newfound purpose. "I will stand by your side, Lyra, and together we shall follow the path of Whispers, wherever it may lead us." With Zephyr at her side, Lyra felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. The path ahead was still shrouded in uncertainty, but she knew that with each ally she gained, the light within her grew stronger. As they set off deeper into the forest, the Whispers of Aether guiding their way, Lyra knew that the true test of their strength and resilience was yet to come. But for now, she savored the companionship and the knowledge that she was no longer alone in her fight against the darkness. Chapter 7. The Echoes of the Past. Lyra and Zephyr ventured deeper into the forest, the luminous crystal casting a soft glow upon their path. The Whispers of Aether grew more insistent, urging them forward with a sense of urgency. As they walked, the trees seemed to whisper secrets of their own, their leaves rustling with untold stories. Suddenly, the forest gave way to a clearing, and before them stood the ruins of an ancient temple. The stones were weathered and overgrown with vines, but the structure still emanated a sense of power and mystery. Lyra and Zephyr exchanged a glance, both feeling drawn to the echoes of the past that lingered within the crumbling walls. As they stepped into the temple, the Whispers of Aether intensified, filling the air with their ethereal presence. Lyra's crystal pulsed with a steady rhythm, as if in response to the ancient energy that permeated the place. In the center of the temple, they found a stone altar, upon which rested an ancient tome. Its cover was embellished with intricate symbols, and as Lyra approached, the Whispers coalesced into a clear message. "Seek the wisdom of the past to light the way forward." With trembling hands, Lyra opened the tome, and the pages came alive with shimmering text. The words spoke of an ancient prophecy, foretelling the rise of the darkness and the emergence of a chosen one who would wield the power of Aether to restore balance to the realms. As Lyra read further, she discovered that the temple held the key to unlocking the full potential of the essence within her. The tome described a series of trials that she would have to face, each designed to test her strength, courage, and wisdom. Zephyr, ever the seeker of knowledge, pored over the tome alongside Lyra, his brow furrowed in concentration. "These trials will not be easy," he warned, his voice grave. "But if the prophecy is true, they are necessary for you to fully embrace your destiny." Lyra nodded, her resolve unwavering. "I am ready," she declared, her voice echoing through the ancient halls. "Whatever challenges lie ahead, I will face them head-on." As they prepared to leave the temple, a sudden gust of wind swept through the ruins, carrying with it a chilling whisper. "The darkness knows of your presence," it hissed, its voice filled with malice. "It will stop at nothing to prevent you from fulfilling your destiny." Lyra and Zephyr exchanged a determined glance, their hands clasped tightly together. They knew that the path ahead would be fraught with danger, but they also knew that they had each other and the whispers of Aether to guide them. With renewed purpose, they stepped out of the temple and back into the forest, ready to face whatever trials and challenges awaited them. The echoes of the past had given them the knowledge they needed, and now it was up to them to forge their own destiny, one step at a time. Chapter 8. The Trials of Fortitude. Lyra and Zephyr emerged from the ancient temple, the whispers of Aether guiding their steps through the dense forest. The luminous crystal pulsed with anticipation, as if aware of the challenges that lay ahead. The air grew heavy with a sense of foreboding, and the shadows seemed to deepen as they ventured further into the unknown. As they walked, Lyra's mind raced with thoughts of the prophecy and the trials she would have to face. She knew that each test would push her to her limits, both physically and mentally, but she was determined to prove herself worthy of the essence that flowed within her. Suddenly, the forest parted, revealing a vast clearing bathed in an eerie, otherworldly light. In the center of the clearing stood 3 towering stone pillars, each bearing a unique symbol carved into its surface. The whispers of Aether grew louder, urging Lyra forward. The Trials of Fortitude, Zephyr breathed, his eyes wide with awe. This is where you will be tested, Lyra. Each pillar represents a different aspect of your strength, courage, resilience, and faith. Lyra approached the first pillar, the symbol of courage glowing with a fierce intensity. As she placed her hand upon the stone, a rush of energy surged through her body, and suddenly she found herself transported to a different realm. In this realm, Lyra faced her deepest fears, confronting the darkness that lurked within her own heart. Shadows took the form of her doubts and insecurities, taunting her with whispers of failure and despair. But Lyra stood tall, drawing upon the courage that had brought her this far. With each step, she battled the shadows, her luminous crystal shining brighter with each victory. As she emerged from the realm of courage, Lyra found herself back in the clearing, the first pillar now glowing with a steady, reassuring light. She moved to the second pillar, the symbol of resilience pulsing with an inner strength. This time, Lyra was plunged into a world of chaos and turmoil, where the very elements seemed to conspire against her. Storms raged, and the ground shook beneath her feet, but Lyra remained steadfast. She drew upon the resilience that had carried her through countless hardships, her spirit unbreakable in the face of adversity. With each trial, Lyra grew stronger, her connection to the essence of Aether deepening. As she approached the final pillar, the symbol of faith shimmering with an ethereal radiance, she knew that this would be her greatest test yet. In the realm of faith, Lyra found herself alone, the whispers of Aether falling silent. The darkness pressed in around her, suffocating and heavy, but she refused to succumb to despair. Instead, she closed her eyes and reached out with her heart, trusting in the power that had chosen her, the power that flowed through her very being. And in that moment, the whispers returned, louder and clearer than ever before. They spoke of hope and unity, of the strength that comes from believing in oneself and in the goodness of others. Lyra emerged from the final trial, her faith unshakable, her purpose clearer than ever. As she stepped back into the clearing, Zephyr rushed to her side, his eyes shining with pride and admiration. "You did it, Lyra," he exclaimed, his voice filled with awe. "You passed the trials of fortitude. You are ready to face whatever lies ahead." Lyra smiled, her heart swelling with a newfound sense of purpose. She knew that the road ahead would be long and treacherous, but she also knew that she had the strength, the courage, and the faith to see it through. With Zephyr by her side and the whispers of Aether to guide her, she was ready to embrace her destiny and fight for the fate of the realms. Chapter 9. The Realm of Shadows. As Lyra and Zephyr left the clearing of the Trials of Fortitude behind, the whispers of Aether grew more urgent, guiding them deeper into the heart of the forest. The air grew colder, and the shadows seemed to lengthen with each step, as if reaching out to ensnare them. "We must be cautious," Zephyr warned, his eyes scanning the surroundings for any signs of danger. "The darkness grows stronger the closer we get to its source." Lyra nodded, her hand instinctively reaching for the luminous crystal that hung around her neck. The essence of Aether pulsed within her, a constant reminder of the power she possessed and the responsibility that came with it. As they pressed on, the forest began to change, the once vibrant colors fading to shades of gray and black. The trees twisted and gnarled, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The whispers of ether grew fainter, as if the very life force of the realm was being drained away. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, its form writhing and shifting like smoke. Lyra and Zephyr froze, their hearts pounding as the figure approached. "You dare enter the realm of shadows," the figure hissed, its voice like the rustling of dead leaves. "You, who carry the essence of ether within you." Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady despite the fear that gripped her heart. "I am here to fulfill my destiny, to restore balance to the realms and banish the darkness that threatens to consume us all." The figure laughed, a sound that chilled Lyra to the bone. "You are but a mere mortal, a pawn in a game far beyond your understanding. The darkness cannot be banished, only embraced." With a wave of its hand, the figure summoned forth a horde of shadow creatures, their eyes glowing with malice. Lyra and Zephyr readied themselves for battle, with their weapons drawn and their hearts steeled. The shadow creatures surged forward, their claws and fangs bared. Lyra called upon the power of ether, her luminous crystal flaring to life as she unleashed a wave of radiant energy. The creatures recoiled, their forms dissipating like smoke in the wind. But the figure only laughed, its form growing larger and more menacing with each passing moment. "You cannot hope to defeat me, child of ether. I am the embodiment of darkness, the very essence of fear and despair." Lyra stood tall, her eyes blazing with determination. "I may be but a mortal, but I carry the hopes and dreams of all those who have come before me, and all those who will come after. I will not falter, and I will not fail." With a cry of defiance, Lyra charged forward, her luminous crystal pulsing with the full power of ether. The figure met her head-on, its form shifting and twisting as it sought to envelop her in its darkness. But Lyra's light shone brighter, piercing through the shadows and illuminating the very heart of the realm of shadows. The figure let out a howl of rage and pain, its form shattering into 1,000 shards of darkness. As the last of the shadow creatures faded away, Lyra and Zephyr stood alone in the clearing, their breathing heavy and their hearts racing. The whispers of ether returned, stronger and clearer than ever before, urging them onward. "You did it, Lyra," Zephyr whispered, his voice filled with awe and respect. "You faced the darkness and emerged victorious." Lyra smiled, her heart swelling with a sense of purpose and determination. She knew that the battle was far from over, that the darkness would not rest until it had consumed all of Euphoria and beyond. But she also knew that she had the strength, the courage, and the faith to see this through to the end. With renewed resolve, Lyra and Zephyr set forth once more, the whispers of ether guiding their every step. The realm of shadows lay behind them, but the true test of their mettle was yet to come. Chapter 10. The Forge of Destiny. As Lyra and Zephyr emerged from the realm of shadows, the whispers of ether grew stronger, urging them towards their next destination. The landscape shifted, the dense forest giving way to a barren, rocky terrain. In the distance, a towering mountain loomed, its peak shrouded in an eerie, pulsating glow. "The Forge of Destiny," Zephyr breathed, his eyes widening in recognition. "It is said that the very fabric of fate is woven within its fiery depths." Lyra nodded, her grip tightening on the luminous crystal. "Then that is where we must go. The whispers of ether have guided us this far, and they will not lead us astray." As they approached the base of the mountain, the air grew thick with the scent of molten rock and ancient magic. The whispers of ether became a symphony, their ethereal tones intertwining with the deep, rhythmic thrumming that emanated from the mountain's core. A narrow path wound its way up the mountainside, its surface worn smooth by countless generations of those who had sought the forge's power. Lyra and Zephyr began their ascent, their steps measured and cautious, for they knew that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges. As they climbed higher, the temperature rose, the heat from the forge seeping through the rock and enveloping them in its oppressive embrace. Sweat beaded on their brows, and their breaths came in shallow gasps, but still they pressed on, driven by the knowledge that their journey was nearing its end. Suddenly, a figure appeared on the path before them. its form shimmering like a mirage in the heat. As it drew closer, Lyra recognized the guardian from the Aether realm, her eyes widening in surprise. "You have come far, Lyra," the guardian spoke, her voice a soothing balm amidst the forge's chaos. "But the final test awaits you within the forge itself. It is there that you must confront your destiny and forge the weapon that will turn the tide against the darkness." Lyra's heart raced, the weight of her responsibility settling upon her shoulders like a mantle. She knew that the fate of Euphoria and the Aether realm rested on her success, and she would not let them down. With a nod of determination, Lyra and Zephyr pressed on, the Guardian's form fading away as they approached the entrance to the forge. The air shimmered with heat, and the ground trembled beneath their feet as they stepped across the threshold and into the heart of the mountain. Inside, the forge was a cacophony of sound and motion, the roar of the flames mingling with the clang of hammer on anvil. In the center of the chamber, a massive furnace burned, its flames a swirling vortex of whites, blues, and golds. Lyra approached the furnace, the essence of Aether within her resonating with the ancient power that dwelt within the forge. She knew that the time had come to fulfill her destiny, to forge the weapon that would bring light to the darkness and restore balance to the realms. With a deep breath, Lyra reached into the furnace, her hand closing around the hilt of a sword that had not yet been forged. As her fingers touched the molten metal, the essence of Aether surged through her, infusing the blade with its radiant power. In that moment, Lyra felt the weight of countless generations, the hopes and dreams of all those who had come before her, and all those who would come after. She knew that the path ahead would be difficult, that the darkness would not yield easily, but she also knew that she was not alone. With Zephyr by her side and the whispers of Aether to guide her, Lyra emerged from the forge, the newly forged blade held aloft in her hand. Its light pierced the shadows, a beacon of hope in the gathering darkness. The final battle was yet to come, but Lyra was ready. She had been forged in the crucible of destiny, tempered by the trials she had faced and honed by the power of Aether itself. She would stand against the darkness, and she would not fall. Chapter 11. The Gathering Storm. As Lyra and Zephyr descended from the mountain, the newly forged blade pulsed with the power of Aether, its radiant light cutting through the shadows that seemed to gather at the edges of their vision. The whispers of Aether grew more urgent, their ethereal tones carrying a sense of impending danger and the need for haste. The landscape around them began to change once more, the barren, rocky terrain giving way to a vast, desolate plain. The sky above was a roiling mass of dark clouds, shot through with streaks of sickly green and purple lightning. The air was thick with the scent of ozone and decay, and a sense of unease settled over the companions. "The darkness is gathering," Zephyr murmured, his eyes scanning the horizon. "It knows that we have the means to challenge its power, and it will stop at nothing to prevent us from succeeding." Lyra nodded grimly, her grip tightening on the hilt of her sword. "Then we must be ready to face whatever it throws at us. We have come too far to turn back now." As they pressed on, the whispers of Aether grew louder, their tones becoming a discordant symphony of warning and desperation. Suddenly, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble, and a great rift opened up before them, its depths filled with swirling shadows and malevolent energy. From the rift, a horde of twisted, nightmarish creatures emerged, their forms a grotesque amalgamation of shadow and flesh. They surged towards Lyra and Zephyr, their eyes glowing with an unholy hunger, and their claws outstretched to rend and tear. Lyra and Zephyr met the horde head-on, their weapons flashing in the eerie light of the storm above. The blade of Aether sang as it cleaved through the shadow beasts, its radiant power searing their flesh and driving them back into the rift from whence they came. But for every creature they felled, two more seemed to take its place, and soon the companions found themselves surrounded, fighting back to back against an endless tide of darkness. Lyra's heart pounded in her chest, and sweat streamed down her face, but she refused to yield, her determination fueled by the knowledge that the fate of the realms hung in the balance. Just when it seemed that all hope was lost, a blinding light erupted from the blade of Aether, its radiance piercing the heart of the storm above and bathing the battlefield in a warm, golden glow. The shadow beasts recoiled, their forms dissolving into wisps of smoke as the light touched them, and the rift began to close, its edges sealing shut with a thunderous crack. As the last of the creatures vanished and the storm dissipated, Lyra and Zephyr stood alone on the plain, their chests heaving with exertion and their weapons still held at the ready. They exchanged a look of grim determination, knowing that this was only the beginning of the battles to come. The whispers of Aether returned, their tones now a soothing balm to the companions' battered spirits. They spoke of a gathering of allies, of those who would stand with Lyra and Zephyr in the final confrontation against the darkness. With renewed purpose, the companions set out once more, following the whispers of Aether towards their next destination. They knew that the road ahead would be long and fraught with danger, but they also knew that they had the power of Aether and the strength of their own convictions to guide them. The gathering storm might rage around them, but Lyra and Zephyr would not falter. They would stand against the darkness, and they would emerge victorious, no matter the cost. Chapter 12. The Gathering of Allies. As Lyra and Zephyr followed the whispers of Aether across the desolate plain, the landscape began to change once more. The barren earth gave way to lush grass, and the stormy sky cleared to reveal a brilliant azure expanse. In the distance, a shimmering city appeared, its towers and spires gleaming in the sunlight. The whispers of Aether grew stronger, urging the companions towards the city gates. As they approached, they saw a great gathering of people from all corners of the realms, each bearing a symbol of Aether upon their brow. Among the crowd, Lyra recognized faces she had seen in her dreams, the wise old sage, the fierce warrior, the gentle healer. They all turned to face her as she drew near, their eyes filled with hope and determination. "Welcome, Lyra and Zephyr," the sage said, his voice deep and resonant. "We have been waiting for you. The time has come for us to stand together against the darkness that threatens to engulf our world." Lyra felt a surge of emotion as she looked around at the faces of her new allies. She knew that each of them had faced their own trials and overcome great obstacles to be here today. "Thank you for answering the call," she said, her voice steady and strong. "Together, we will defeat the darkness and restore balance to the realms." As the sun began to set over the city, the allies gathered around a great bonfire, sharing stories of their journeys and the challenges they had faced. Lyra and Zephyr listened intently, learning from the wisdom of their new companions and feeling a sense of unity and purpose that they had never known before. In the flickering light of the flames, the whispers of Aether grew louder, weaving together the threads of their destiny. Lyra closed her eyes and let the whispers wash over her, filling her with a sense of calm and clarity. She knew that the final battle was fast approaching, and that the fate of the realms would be decided in the days to come. But as she looked around at the faces of her allies, she felt a surge of hope and determination. Together, they would stand against the darkness and fight for the light. Together, they would forge a new future for the realms, one born of courage, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bonds of friendship. As the night wore on and the stars began to shine overhead, Lyra and Zephyr retired to their quarters, their hearts filled with a sense of purpose and their minds buzzing with plans for the battles to come. They knew that the road ahead would be long and difficult, but they also knew that they were not alone. With the power of Aether at their side and the strength of their allies at their back, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead and emerge victorious. The gathering of allies was complete, and the stage was set for the final confrontation against the darkness. Lyra and Zephyr closed their eyes and let the whispers of Aether lull them into a dreamless sleep, knowing that tomorrow would bring the beginning of the end and the dawning of a new era for the realms.